Now, for more insight, it's a pleasure to welcome retired Colonel Miri, Senior Fellow at the International Institute for Counterterrorism at Reichman University. She joins us from Herzliya. Thank you so much for your time. Much on the go. The ceasefire is hanging on by a thread. Day 6, seeing Hezbollah launching those mortars at Mount Dov and the Israeli Air Force responding, as we just heard, overnight. What does this all mean for the apparent ceasefire? Your insights.
Ceasefire doesn't mean nothing happens. Hezbollah still exists, Benina, we all understand that. Hezbollah is presenting everything of the last year and 2 months, the last 2 months of the ground operation of the IDF. Hezbollah is presenting it as a win. And we can poo-poo the win that they say that they have, but they look at it in a vastly different way. They survived. They still exist. And for them, Benita, within this aspect of a ceasefire, they need to show not only do they still exist, they have not disappeared, look, we can still fire something. So to us, it's going to absolutely look that it's part of the ceasefire and breaking of the ceasefire. And from the Israeli perspective, it is. From the Hezbollah perspective, it's part of their own narrative that we, Hezbollah, still exist, that we managed to survive. For them, their survival, not being erased by Israel, that's their success. I don't consider it the same as a success. But we can expect more tentative type issues like this, where they're not targeting against sites, military sites, let alone the civilian sites that they've targeted for the last 14 months. They're doing it into open areas to show we still have the capability to do so, and we choose not to do so. Again, I could say a lot about their narrative, but that's what they're going to present.
Now, just a short while ago, as Israeli civilians watch to see exactly what transpires, Benjamin Netanyahu sharing this message from a special government meeting in the city of Nahariya. Let's take a quick listen.
We are holding a government meeting in the north, here in the city of Nahariya. We're here to deliver a clear message to the north. We're committed to the north. We appreciate the steadfast stand of the residents and its leaders. We're committed to returning the residents safely to their homes. We are currently in a ceasefire. I note, a ceasefire, not the end of the war. We have a clear goal to return the residents, to rehabilitate the north. We are enforcing the ceasefire and with an iron fist, acting against any violation, minor or serious.
And of course, tens of thousands of residents of the north evacuated from their homes for more than a year now. What is your response to this message from the Prime Minister at that special meeting in Nahariya a short while ago?
Benita, I'm one of the people who has stated very clearly that militarily, when we're talking about the Hezbollah threat, Hezbollah has been put into a place which I really say militarily is, for me, very important. And I would say, and I don't live up north, and so it's not fair, but I would say to the people of the north, yes, you can go back home. And that's what the Prime Minister is saying there, that it's been a stage, that we still need to do all the preparation for the last 14 months. Hezbollah has been attacking these different communities. They need to be rebuilt. They need to be reinstated. As a parent of children, do you go back in the middle of the school year? But those are already different types of challenges. Right now, the military challenge, I really don't think that Hezbollah is going to challenge the ceasefire against Nahariya, against Shlomi, against Kiryat Shmona. Those are 3 different cities that 2 of them were fully evacuated. One of them, where they did the Prime Minister's meeting right now, was heavily attacked by Hezbollah rockets and mortars. So what that message is, we're at a different stage. We're on the offensive. You're going to be able to go home. Now we need to get there. Does it mean that Hezbollah has disappeared? Not at all. Does it mean there won't be attacks? It doesn't mean that. I say it sadly. It's a border area. And on the other side of the border, there still will be Hezbollah. You cannot erase it. That distinction between Hezbollah and Lebanon is a correct one when you're talking about Hezbollah as a terror army and Lebanon that has its own Lebanese army that is deploying down south. But Hezbollah itself and the members of that terror army are the citizens of Lebanon. They are Arabic-speaking Shiites who live in those areas. So it's very hard to make that distinction.
And certainly one can understand why residents might be reluctant so soon to go back home. And as you say, rebuilding is going to take time in many areas. We wait to see how it all unfolds. Please stay with us. There's much more to discuss. And still with us, retired Colonel Miri Eisen, Senior Fellow at the International Institute for Counterterrorism at Reichman University. And Donald Trump sent a very clear message overnight warning Hamas on his Truth Social network to release the hostages, or in his words, there will be all hell to pay. The US President-elect vowing severe consequences if hostages are not released before his inauguration, which is, of course, the 20th of January. Miri, could threats like this make the difference? Time is of the essence for all the hostages. Your response to the messaging out of the future Trump administration?
Benita, I wish, and I say it very sadly to everybody who's watching right now, but we threatened every single way. Let's be straight. With tens of thousands of people have been killed in the Gaza Strip. We never targeted them, but we're trying to get to hostages, and we're physically there, and we have threatened them. We have killed all of the top people. So in that sense, the threat itself, I'm not saying it's an empty threat. I await to see what President-elect Trump will do and what he could do that's different from right now. But at the end, what I have found with Hamas is the worst of the worst. Meaning, if we get too close to hostages, they prefer to murder them than to actually give them back to us. And so the threats themselves, even the threat of our own action and being there, doesn't work. And we need to be aware of that. What I'm saying right now are very harsh things, but I live here, and in here, the Hamas itself is an inhumane, genocidal organization. And for them, the hostages are bargaining chips. They're not human beings. And threatening them about what's going to happen to them, to me, means that we may get those Hamas people and that are holding them. But the only way that we will get to them, sadly, through threats, is that they will murder the hostages they have. And I don't have good things to say about that. It doesn't work that way here. I wish it did.
Just a devastating situation, 424 days in captivity. It's still so difficult to process. Retired Colonel Miri Eisen, we always appreciate your insights. Thank you for being with us on i24 News, live from Herzliya.